Hey guys, it's Joey Gaming and welcome back to the Joey Gaming YouTube channel. So today, apparently Elon Musk has his own private school where his kids go to. And I don't know, this was a pretty interesting video I saw on the internet a few days ago. And I thought it'd be super interesting to react to it, because I'm planning on doing a lot more reaction commentary, especially my major announcement I just came out today. If you haven't seen it, please take a look at it in my community tab. Long story short, I'm not going to be making criticism commentary on individuals anymore. So, yeah, so I thought, hey, I'm going to experiment with a few other content. I'm going to try to do reaction commentary. Because, matter of fact, I actually enjoy doing reaction commentary. But before we can start, 95% of you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel. So if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to me on YouTube, because I do videos like this every single day. Also, let's set a like goal of 10 likes today. So, yeah, if you haven't yet, please like this video and see if we can get 10 likes today. Because I'll be a happy guy if we get 10 likes today. So, let's get right into the video.
In a corner of SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne, California, you won't find rocket engineers or even adults for that matter. For a number of years, Elon Musk ran a school out of his rocket factory to educate his 5 children, not including boy number 6, Baby X. They had been enrolled at a private school for gifted kids in LA, but Musk wasn't satisfied with their education, as he once told a Chinese television network.
The regular schools, they weren't doing the things that I thought should be done.
Musk has been critical of the American education system, pointing out teachers don't explain why kids are taught a subject. They're taught a mathematical formula without explaining why that formula is important. As an analogy, he says simply listing the tools you need to take an engine apart isn't the same as trying to disassemble the engine yourself, and by doing so, learn the relevance of the tools as you go.
You know what? I actually kind of have to agree with Musk over here, because what's the point on going to school if you don't know what the purpose of learning is, basically? Like, you can learn how to do it, but you don't learn the purpose on why you need to do it. Like, if you're going to take apart a car, you need to learn why you need to fix a car in the first place. I kind of have to agree with that. And you know what? I'm going to bring up a personal story. I have this math teacher, and he thinks that, he thinks that all forms of math's important. Like, he thinks that every form of math is important. And the guy would attempt to explain why it's important and what the purpose is. And you know what? I kind of have to agree with some of the points. Except that all math is important, alright? There's some math that I don't really think is super important, alright? I can't really name some at the top of my head, but there's some math that should not be, well, not really taught, but I don't really think is important in my book. That's just what I'm going to say right here.
When he's not happy with how things are done, the entrepreneur tends to do something about it, whether it's creating rockets, cars, computer chips, or his own school. He named it Ad Astra, which is Latin for to the stars.
I actually hired a teacher from the school they were at, who also agreed with me that there was a better way to do it.
That teacher is Josh Don, who I spoke with over Skype. Was it a tough decision for you to leave the private school where you were teaching at to go on this new venture?
No, of course not, right? If anything, Elon asked me to think about it, and I responded, hours after we originally spoke, like in the middle of the night, because it was so clearly a great opportunity.
Imagine being the teacher of this private school, and Elon Musk himself comes out and said, hey, do you want to be a teacher at my school? Do you know how amazing that would be? Of course you're gonna say yes to that. How could you say no to the richest man ever that's gonna be taking us to Mars and creating rockets that are able to self-land? How are you gonna say no to that? Also, I'm not gonna lie, the teacher looks like he might be the teacher looks like the cool teacher that plays Kahoot with the class every week and lets everyone be on their phones and not being a total Karen about it. That's what I'm gonna say. That's the type of vibe I get from this teacher, alright? I bet he's a really cool teacher, alright? I bet he has some really fun assignments and stuff.
Astra was far from a typical school, with no classes in language, music, sports, or even grade levels. Students were grouped based on their ability, where they took part in complex team games to test their critical thinking skills. In one simulation, teams competed at various art auctions to try to assemble the best collections to display at exhibitions around the world, similar to what these students are doing.
I like the shrine game.
Okay, yeah, you do that one.
It's a lot for adults to juggle, let alone the 8 to 14-year-olds at Ad Astra. Musk reimagined how school could be taught based on first principles reasoning, a fancy way of saying, how could you rethink how something is done in order to make it better, a strategy applied to Tesla's manufacturing of batteries.
I think the problem is with, the US public school system today is that it was really made back in the Industrial Revolution, and at that time the US really needed a lot of skilled workers. And what the point of the school system back then was to train workers to work at factories. Nowadays, we have robots that work in factories. So the system in the US, the education system in the US is pretty much outdated, because the school is supposed to teach us, like, hey, the teacher's the boss, you need to listen to the boss, you need to get stuff in by under a certain time, and you know what? Most of the time, those classes restrict critical thinking, and it's because that's how the whole system was changed. Of course, there were like some small improvements over time and over the years, which made the system, U.S. education system better, but still was based off of the Industrial Revolution, and I think the U.S. education system really needs to be overhauled. Like, honestly, the president, the Department of Education, they need to get together and recreate everything. Take a look at the education system of different countries and see what they're doing and combine it. We're America. We're like the top country, like in the military, technology, but we have like the worst school systems like in the whole world, if I'm being completely honest.
It used to be very expensive to build batteries for electric cars. You could say that's just the way it is and there's no way to bring the price down. First principles thinking would say it's possible to make cheaper batteries by breaking it down to the basics, figuring out what the batteries are made of and how those materials could be cleverly combined to form a battery cell. In education, first principles mean figuring out how students can get the best learning experience possible.
To bring about the best future for them and for the world. I can't believe that it's sitting at a desk listening to a teacher tell you how to, do side-angle side theorems in geometry class.
Ad Astra grew from 9 kids in the first week of 2014 to 50 6 years later, a mix of children of SpaceX employees as well as high achievers.
Imagine being the kid that goes to Elon Musk's school, right? And your father works at, SpaceX, trying to create Starship, trying to get to, Mars. How cool would that be? And you go up to your friends and you'd be like, that public school we used to go to? Well, guess what? That's trash. Elon Musk's school is better. Oh, man. Astro, I forgot the school's name. But imagine being the kid that works at SpaceX. You must be pretty much intelligent, alright? Guarantee you, when you turn 18, you're gonna probably be the most intelligent person ever live, alright? To ever live. Well, maybe not to ever live, but you get my point.
From the area. Sometimes they ventured off campus. A converted garage at the former house of Gene Wilder once served as a chemistry lab. This unorthodox approach to education doesn't come cheap. Tuition was around $30,000 a year, with some receiving financial aid. When Ad Astra closed in June 2020, Musk donated funds to kickstart an online school called Astranova, headed by Josh Dawn. Although the SpaceX CEO isn't personally involved, he has his fingerprints all over the new school. A former SpaceX engineer teaches rocketry there, and even the application is related to one of Musk's passions. Interested students have to submit a response to this environmental problem. How would you answer? There's a large lake near a small town. A corporation dumps harmful chemicals into the water. Scientists studying the lake say it'll die in 10 years if the pollution continues. An individual, the puppet master, is concerned new regulations will impact profits, so they decide to pay a small group of scientists to publish bogus research claiming the lake has never been healthier. The media reports on the new study. Politicians have the power to stop the pollution, but decide not to, since there appears to be disagreement over the health of the lake. Plus, the company employs so many people in town. Its closure would devastate the economy. Voters who listen to the media, politicians, and scientists are confused over what the truth actually is. They re-elect the politicians. The corporation continues dumping harmful chemicals into the lake, and the lake dies 10 years later. So, who is to blame? There's no right or wrong answer, but the school is interested in how the children reason through ethical dilemmas.
You know what? I honestly think that schools should do something like this a lot more often, because honestly, in real life, you're gonna have situations like this, where people are going to, come up with fake claims, people are going to put blames on other people, are going to put blame on other people that shouldn't be blamed for situations. And honestly, you know what? Sometimes there's not really a right or wrong answer. And honestly, school should, do stuff like this more often, where it requires critical thinking and looking at the big pictures and looking at the small details as well. But at the end of the day, this is just my opinion. I'm not an educator, and I'm still in high school, so I don't know about how feasible this is. But honestly, how I feel about this whole situation, I definitely feel like, hey, the U.S. education system should change. I think that, hey, they need to revamp everything and change it for the better. But at the end of the day, this is just all my opinions, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and please consider subscribing, because I do videos like this every single day, or try to. And you guys can always unsubscribe in the future if you don't like my content. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching, and see ya. Peace.